This is a Florida pond. It's not your typical snorkel destination for 3 reasons. 1, because it looks like this. 2, there's a few alligators out here. And 3, people are worried about brain-eating amoebas. But it's where we're going to be exploring today. I'm with my friend Kevin, and we're going to be going out on the canoe to explore around the pond. Got the trolling motor set up today. I also have to do something else before we get out there to help protect myself from brain-eating amoebas. Now, the way brain-eating amoebas work is they get up your nose and they can start to eat away at your olfactory neuron and then make their way to their brain, or they cause brain swelling and you die. But I have earplugs and a tube of silicone. I also just saved this morning. Yeah, I got the job done, but it really did not go well. Hopefully that makes this process a little less painful later. Oh, that does not feel good. No, they're in there. Over the silicone. It takes 30 minutes to get you water ready. Do you have a knife, Kevin? 2. Oh, wait, did they meet in the same place? Yeah, I don't know. All right. Okay. Be fun later. All right, this looks insane, but I got a perfect seal right now. Yeah, this is insane. This is one of the weirdest things I've ever done. All right, it's a job well done. It is 3:38 right now, so 4:08. I should be good to get in the water. It's like, oh the gosh, that hurts. Not gonna lie, this stinks pretty good, but I'd like to see a brain to be able to try to get past this barrier. Good.
Gas for me.
Ready?
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. No lights, but no
flashlight.
We won't be out at night. All right, is that?
I'm good. Welcome to. Nope.
Brain-eating amoebas are a lot more common throughout the US than people think they are, but they're super rare to contract. Brain-eating amoebas are a species of amoeba that primarily eat bacteria. However, in the perfect scenario, if they get shoved way up your nose by inhaling water and can start to eat away at your olfactory neuron and eventually make their way to your brain, 97% of people who contract it die. But it's incredibly rare and tends to be more common in really warm, shallow bodies of water, which is what a lot of people would think of as a pond. But right now, I've got a thermometer here. I'm gonna see what temperature we're working with. So it's about 85 degrees outside right now. This is my wife's cooking thermometer. Sorry, Sarah, but I'll wash it when I get home. 86.7. Normally, above 86 degrees is kind of when it begins to proliferate. I mean, 86.7 I'm not super concerned about, but it tends to live on the bottom in all the like muck. And so really to increase your chances of getting it, you need to dive down to the bottom and then snort all the mud on the bottom, which I have no intention of doing. I'm gonna be staying up above it. Also, my nose is blocked off. This ecosystem is really important for a lot of different reasons, but I'm not sure I'm going to see a ton under there, but there's only one way to find out. So I'm going to get suited up and we'll get in the water. So far, those plugs are holding up strong, so here we go. The water was stunningly clear. You might assume that this kind of pond would have terrible visibility, but that wasn't the case at all. I began to make my way over to a cluster of lily pads I had seen in the distance. First, I traveled over what I think was a field of bladderwort. If I'm right, this is a carnivorous plant that has tiny bladders all along it, which are triggered to open up and suck in tiny unsuspecting organisms, which are then digested by bacteria and enzymes. The red stems on the new growth here were pretty stunning, and it was growing incredibly thick in this open area of the pond. I noticed a few other aquatic plants that managed to burst through the rolling clouds of vegetation and reach up to the surface. As I arrived at the lily pads, I saw the first fish of the dive, a bass. I could tell it was curious about me as it kept darting away and then pausing to look back in my direction. I'm pretty sure I'm the first human this fish has ever encountered underwater in its life. The lily pads looked huge from beneath the surface. It was like someone had flattened a bunch of lime green umbrellas and stuck them in the pond. In addition to the enormous green pads, there were some more colorful, smaller pads that were slowly making their way to the surface. Although Florida ponds are often thought of as boring, stagnant pools, I was quickly finding this world to be wildly colorful. However, it was also not easy to navigate, and I was having a hard time figuring out which way to go.
We have 5 turkey vultures, 1 black vulture. I might have had an American kestrel just fly by.
I eventually found a workable path through the vegetation and continued on my way. I came across a small clearing and a lush aquatic world bathed in golden light came into view. It was even complete with a little sunfish. All the pain in my nose just suddenly vanished. It was a small price to pay to witness this beauty. The stalks of the lilies sprung up in all directions, with plenty more leaves working their way upwards. I believe most of these are American white water lilies. With a good bit of effort, I positioned myself so I could take a closer look at the details on these plants. The branching patterns formed by the veins on the underside of the leaves were mesmerizing. Some of the veins seemed so full they might burst if you poked them. It was a simple sign of an elaborate cycle of water, chlorophyll, and light. I took a breath and dove down to follow the bass and sunfish as they darted about through the vegetated maze of the pond. It seemed that the longer I looked, the more creatures materialized out of the vegetation. Up to this point, most of the pond had seemed rather shallow, but out in the middle of the water lilies, the water turned suddenly dark and it dropped off pretty deep. Somewhere down there in the muddy, murky bottom of the pond is where the Naegleria fowleri, or brain-eating amoebas, live. Like I said, they're quite common throughout the US, but it's just rare to contract them. Again, brains aren't the normal diet for the amoeba, as they primarily eat bacteria. They are likely present in this pond, but you'd be much more likely to encounter them in thermal springs where water temperatures get much higher. But the presence of brain-eating amoebas doesn't subtract from the beauty of this place. This underwater environment is clearly not a place intended for humans, and that's okay. I was just happy to get a glimpse into this strange and bizarre realm. As I came across another clearing, I finally spotted a turtle in the distance. Wildlife always seemed to appear out of nowhere, and I'm fairly certain each time they were just as surprised as I was. I couldn't get quite close enough to see what species of turtle it was, but I'm always stoked to see a reptile. Not long after, a weird shape caught my eye. The stalk of this lily had formed itself into a corkscrew, supporting a large bloom on the end. In a pond that's as densely vegetated as this, it's a tough competition to spiral up to the surface and collect as much sunlight as possible. The bloom is a hefty burden to carry upward, but a critical task for the water lily. Once it breaches the surface, its white and yellow petals unfurl, welcoming pollinators and spreading its way across the pond. Speaking of going up to the surface, it was time for me to make my way back to Kevin in the canoe. The silicone was dry enough to get in the water, but not dry enough to where it would stick to my mask, so I think my mask is stuck to my face now for the rest of the video. But hey, no water's getting up this nose, so I guess that's a win. I don't know, but I'm gonna head to another spot and explore a little bit more of this pond. See any cool birds yet, Kevin?
Swallowtail kite.
Let's go. I don't know what's gonna happen if I have to sneeze. I'm gonna try not to think about that. A little shallow here. We tried to take the canoe through an airboat trail to another side of the pond, but water levels were just way too low. It did, however, give Kevin a chance to do some more birding. He was enjoying this Florida pond in his own way. Kind of hot with this thing. Whew. The impasse was just a temporary setback. We still had one more spot to explore. I didn't think the vegetation could get any thicker, but boy was I wrong. It was an absolute battle to move forward even at all.
You know what? Brain-eating amoebas hate this trick. And just stay up here. Ooh. Great egret.
As I powered through, I wondered if this spot was even worth diving in. I could barely see in front of my face, and as debris swirled around me, I was kind of grateful for my nose plug apparatus. But then the afternoon sunbeams pierced the surface, and a tangle of lilies, bladderwort, spatterdock, and water shield gave way to yet another ethereal view. I'm actually going to just shut up for a bit now and let you take it all in. It was humbling in a way to have a window into a place I didn't really belong. Florida's wild ponds may not be seen as beautiful in the same way that the beaches, springs, or rivers are, but that doesn't make them lesser in any way. I mean, what is beauty after all? Surely it's more than just something's usefulness or accessibility to me. It's often that these kinds of habitats are the ones that get subject to development and destruction, because who cares if we pave over a warm pond with brain-eating amoebas? Well, I sure do, and so does everything that lives in this landscape. Because this pond gives life not only to the aquatic things that live in it, but also the terrestrial creatures that live around it. In dry seasons, when smaller ephemeral pools disappear in times of drought, larger ponds like this ensure the survival of this entire ecosystem. Every living thing, both great and small, animal and plant, can grow, hunt, reproduce, and thrive in the life that this Florida pond gives. As the sun began to set, it was high time for Kevin and I to leave the lily pads, calling cricket frogs, and brain-eating amoebas behind, and make our way back to shore. At this point, I also was very ready to be able to breathe out of my nose again. Alright, the moment we've all been waiting for, but especially me, because I've had these in my nose for like 3 hours. Oh my gosh. Can you see that? It's like... Oh, it's almost done. Oh, the gosh, that hurts. Okay. That's gross. Oh, no way. Oh, man. I have... Look at that. Oh, my God. All right. So that's the aftermath. Still got some silicone, but that's pretty clean. Not going to lie. I feel like we went best case scenario there, so I don't recommend diving in brain-eating amoeba infested waters. I don't think this is it, but technically this works. Not a ton of crazy wildlife encounters out there, but that's kind of to be expected in a pond like this. It's just super dense aquatic vegetation, hard to navigate, but still it's neat to get a view beneath the surface in an area that not a lot of people have been. Most of those fish were looking at me like I was a ghost. I'm pretty sure they'd never seen a snorkeler before in their whole life. But no brain-eating amoebas acquired. Pretty amazed at how clean those earplugs and silicone pulled out. So worked pretty well. Florida ponds, definitely not going to be a premier snorkel destination anytime soon, but they are amazing habitats and super important for a ton of life, both aquatic and terrestrial. Anyways, there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll see you next time.
Ooh, that was a big bass. Is that wake out there?